The history of this city starts here, in Tiradentes Square. First, it was the village of Atuba, the small town, the old town, the village of Our Lady of the Light of the Pines of Curitiba. Soon, the sightseeing bus will come along. It's just one of the many invitations the city has in store for you. An unforgettable ride through the environmental capital, the University City. The street that passes through various countries. It's a city without doors, always ready to show its creativity, its natural and man-made beauty, its culture, and above all, the will to improve the quality of life for everyone. There's 282 plazas, 18 million square meters of green space in parks and forests, 20 theaters, 18 museums, and dozens of shopping malls, street fairs, and areas full of restaurants and entertainment facilities. Day or night, Curitiba's got it all. In the 17th century, the first Portuguese expedition, commanded by Eliodoro Ebeno Pereira, arrived in the land of the Tupi-Guarani Indian. These adventurers came in search of gold and founded the village of Atuba along the banks of the Atuba River. They brought with them the statue of Our Lady of the Light. According to legend, the statue's eyes stayed transfixed on a particular spot, which is where the early residents built a church. In choosing the exact place, they also sought help from Tinjiquera, chief of the Tingui tribe. He drove a stake into the ground and said, Core Atuba, which means place of many pine seeds. And so, this is where the first chapel of Our Lady of the Light and Sweet Jesus was built. The old chapel soon gave way to a larger church, and eventually to a cathedral. And this is the starting point of Curitiba. Traveling up the hill a little, we arrive in Curitiba's historic district. Here, the city's story is reflected in the facades, the cobblestone streets, and in the museums. In Largo de Ordem, tradition mixes easily with modern-day culture. One of the best preserved examples of Portuguese architecture is the Casa Romário Martins, recently transformed into an art gallery. Close by is the Casa Vermelha. Built in 1891, this former blacksmith shop is now a cultural space. Curitiba's oldest existing church is the Ordem Terceira do São Francisco das Chagas. And even the drinking well, where the pioneers watered their horses, helps to preserve the past. We continue our journey by passing in front of the City Memorial. Built in the 1990s as a contrast to earlier architectural styles, the building is a stylized Paraná pine tree, made out of glass, metal, and steel. It's also a cultural center, featuring the Chapel of the Founders, where the altars of the first church and the original statues of Our Lady of the Light of the Pines are preserved. Plaza Garibaldi also helps tell the story of Curitiba. Each house shows a little of a bygone era, as does the adjacent church of Rosário dos Pretos de São Benedito. For those wanting to know more about the history of Curitiba, go no further than the Paranaense Museum. Founded in 1876, It was the third museum to open in Brazil. Today, it's housed in the old city hall, and its many fine displays show how the city has grown from the time when the area's only inhabitants were Indians. But Curitiba isn't just about the past. On weekends, the historic district takes on a much more modern air, and its night spots are favorites for partygoers. Local food, clothing, and plenty of people watching. Curitiba has been a cultural center for many years, and small wonder. Just go around the city and you'll see why it's so famous. You'll find art in practically every corner. It's not necessary to have a special stage. It's enough even if just one person applauds. A square is the stage for unknown talents. The Pedreira is the showcase for celebrities. The Paulo Leminski Pedreira could have been just one more exploited and abandoned area. But Curitiba's creative instincts saw beauty in the old rock quarry and heard its incomparable acoustics. All that was left to do was to set up the necessary infrastructure and voila! Featuring a capacity of 60,000 spectators, since 1969, the facility has witnessed concerts by many of the world's best-known musical entertainers. Pedreira's Park also has another concert house, one which features the kind of originality that only Curitiba can offer, the Ópera d'Arame. After crossing the metal bridge over the Pool of Swans, visitors can take in world-class shows in a totally innovative setting. The architecture was inspired by the old Paris Opera House, but the structure is made entirely out of tubular metal and is covered in glass. This boldness to create these kinds of spaces is also reflected in the Paiol Theater, originally an old army gunpowder storehouse built at the turn of the century. It was transformed into a theater in 1971, and the opening of the theater was done in grand style indeed, bringing together nothing less than Vinicius de Moraes, Toquinho, Maria Medalha, and Trio Mocotó. Since then, countless other well-known names have entertained there, but the Paiol is, above all, a space for Curitiba's performers. Large theatrical presentations also have their own space in the city. The Guaira is one of the largest theaters in Latin America, featuring 3 separate performance halls, the largest of which seats about 2,200 spectators. And of course, it's now become the tradition for most important national productions to open at the Guaira. Curitiba's residents interact with culture without even knowing it. In each neighborhood, there are libraries, known as the lighthouses of knowledge.